Let's talk about this hot ball of liquidity. China just ramped massively in the last 2 weeks, right? David Tepper goes on CNBC and I think Becky Quick says, "What should you buy?" And he says, "Everything, like future stocks, bonds." Like the last time I was here was in 2010. I said, "Buy everything," and everything went up. And China had something like a 35% move. If you look at the FXI index, I checked 12 hours ago, had a short interest of 60% in that category. A lot of quants were short China as well. A lot of funds were short China as well. The carry
hmm
trades that were also being funded via the renminbi, not just Japanese yen, because they thought this was like a left or dead market. If those assets aren't going to appreciate and you can figure that as long as it doesn't move against you, you're okay. And that trade went for 10 years, essentially, some volatility in the middle, right? But now China is like down a lot again today. We'll see what happens from here. But if I zoom out, what I observe is that across markets, you see in digital assets, you saw parabola in May, you saw parabola in NVIDIA in June. We saw parabola in utilities that maybe ended yesterday in XLU. Utilities went up like 35%. Here's utility stocks. These are highly regulated companies
Yep.
outperforming the S&P 500 because of the data center. What do you make of this? First off, is there such a phenomenon out there, and how do you make sense of that?
I actually know of a very well-regarded hedge fund that is recently raising a fund that is solely focused on what he would call scarce assets. And of course, when I say scarce asset, you might think it's a Bitcoin strategy, but it's not. There's a small crypto allocation to Bitcoin, which would make sense in that thesis, but the overwhelming majority of it is actually energy assets and utilities. And what he's trying to do is find those core patents and IPs in the ways that it could intersect with proprietary energy infrastructure that really makes it a scarce asset. And you can apply that lens of investing to public credit and equities too. So this is one strategy that I think is evergreen in the ability to bring crypto to the more mainstream dialogue. I think actually more people should be interested in thinking about crypto in that context to a larger pool of assets. So I was very happy to see this well-regarded hedge fund make a foray this way. We need more actors like this, including folks like us at Bitwise who are crypto native in the pursuit of our education research. At the end of the day, the thing about China is it wasn't so long ago that people were talking about the death of entrepreneurial energy there. I have friends who are entrepreneurs in China, and they would lament that it is over. It's over. There's no way to actually make
Hmm.
money anymore. And politically, it's become culturally challenged. And there were all these stories about bankers being cut or their
Jack
salaries being
Ma being silenced,
cut.
and exactly.
Oh, Jack, my story is old.
Yeah.
This is really, we're talking about over the last 12 months after the Politburo, there was this overwhelming sense of central and command where creative entrepreneurs would be punished for doing business here. And VC died completely. Nobody wanted to fund any more Chinese projects. And then, of course, that would trickle into tech stocks like Baidu and Tencent and Alibaba and whatnot. So here we are in this China story where you are seeing incredible fiscal expansion towards, I think, policy, but also monetary expansion, as you've highlighted. The question is, are we going to then bridge the gap between the two at the cultural level? That is the question that I don't know. I think, yes, we're very excited by China's liquidity injection because overall, it means that they, being the country that has mostly been exporting inflation, will now find a way to think about that in a deflationary way is good at a global level. But you also need to ensure that the end game for China makes sense and that the growth is sustained. And I am still watching for some real economic productivity there that could be ushered in away
Yeah.
from the monetary liquidity.